everyone. My name is Shani Jones, and I am your resident certified sex coach. Thank you so much for joining me on Do You Know the New Kinky You? Your path to discovering your unique sexuality. Our sexuality is like a fingerprint. No two of us are exactly alike. Sexual diversity is vast, and I invite you to discover what's right for you. So, on this video, we are doing a summary of the podcast that I do on Spotify, also on Anchor, and probably whatever podcast station you listen to, where I review a book called Mirror of Intimacy. By Mirror of Intimacy, Daily Reflections on Emotional and Erotic Intelligence by Alexandra Katakis and Tom Bliss. Now, this book is the 2015 ASEX Book of the Year, and ASEX stands for American Association of Sexuality Education Counselors and Therapists. So, what we've been doing all year long, this is a daily reflection. We started January 1st, and we are currently up and through February. Today is the 22nd, so we will be caught up at some point today. But each week I talk to you about what it is these daily reflections are. The hope is that through this video, I inspire you to go get the more detailed day-to-day content on the actual podcast, but I still thank you and appreciate you for being here. Now, again, the links to the podcast are going to be in the description, so you don't have to look very far. You just have to go in the description, click the link, and it'll take you to the podcast. If you are here from the podcast and listening to the summary to provide feedback and commentary, thank you so much. This is intended to be as much of a dialogue as possible when it comes to this internet realm. So I'm going to continue to work on ways that will help us have more real-time dialogue, but in the meantime, we'll make it work the way that we can. So, let's see. This is our week 3 summary for February, and on the 14th, which happened to be Valentine's Day, was Reciprocity. Now, I was a little surprised that we did not specifically talk about Valentine's as a holiday, seeing as though it's traditionally been on February 14th for a long time. But it was about reciprocity, which in light of the holiday, which is, I get for a lot of people, it's not a real holiday. It's a commercial grab bag for your money to spend on commercialism and capitalism and all that other stuff. I get it. I understand. So we're going to talk about reciprocity instead. Reciprocity is a give and take. It is based on expectations, but those expectations really do need to be managed, because expectations based on our actions could be a lot different based off of what it is that we intend. We forget that we share an energy and we share a vibe, and sometimes what we are putting off, the energy that we are putting off, is not, it doesn't match the words that come out of our mouth. So we display conflict between our words and our actions, and even between our thoughts and our actions, there can be a disconnect. A lot of times when we have a disconnection in reciprocity, it could be because there is an imbalance in the relationship. Now, ideally, you think when I'm having these conversations, I'm talking about romantic partnerships, perhaps, but even in friendships and families, there can be imbalances in how people relate to each other, relationships, right? So what does that mean to be off balance, and what can we do to create the balance when we have accepted or at least acknowledged that an imbalance is present? Also, happiness starts from within. We cannot go around expecting life to give us all of these blessings and all of these great things if what we put out is negative and what we put out is based off of fear and bullshit. So just understand that life responds, people respond to what it is that we give. So when we, and there's another place in the slide where I say when you give love, you get love, but it's the same type of thing. That's what reciprocity is. Oh, and I just want to point out to you that in these bullets, in these highlights, I'm only highlighting like the top few tidbits of gems that I wanted to use to entice you to join the podcast. But this is definitely not all that I've talked about, because again, I'm trying to get this into a summary. So if you miss out on the details, you can always go to the podcast. On the 15th, we talked about neglect. Now, I believe most of us know what it means to be neglected, or at least to feel neglected. It's a very strong lacking of a connection, a physical connection, emotional connection, a spiritual connection. It's a very strong lacking of that. And then the authors, they expounded on that lacking based off a place of children and adults who are now the product of being children who suffered neglect in their development. You know, what does that mean for them now? People, to various degrees and various levels, experience trauma. I am not of the aptitude to say, well, this person's trauma is worse, or, you know, who won out in the traumatic childhood. No, that is not the where I'm trying to go with it. Where I'm trying to go with it is that bad shit happens. I really wholeheartedly wish that it didn't. The more that I can do these types of videos to help children and young people understand what is appropriate, what isn't appropriate, how to feel safe in themselves, how to feel safe in communicating when things aren't right. You know, even if they feel neglected, that they have somebody that they can talk to. Because as adults, we carry all of these things around. You know, sometimes we carry it around without even knowing, because we blocked it out for various reasons, but we carry them. And so what we do is, part of us continues to live in a past and we can't move forward. So we're beating our heads up against this wall. We want change. Change is possible. It requires work, and sometimes it requires help, which is what you see on your screen right there. Sometimes you can't do it by yourself. I know a lot of times we want to. I consider myself a very independent person. If I will exhaust every possibility to figure it out on my own. But at the end of the day, if I need help, I have to call the right person. There's no point in calling the person who don't know just as much as I don't know. So think about who you need in a position to help you, to be that person of support, and deciding what capacity that support is needed. We talked about revenge. Revenge is one of those things that is an emotion that is triggered by hurt, anger, fear, shame. But somebody hurt our feelings, somebody physically hurt us. Our immediate go-to response is, this person needs to feel what it is that I feel. And so in my head, which I did not talk, so this is a gem because I did not talk about this on the podcast, but I bust the windows out your car, all of the angry girlfriend anthems. These are the things that we do, or at least we sing about, that we would want to do because you've done something to hurt our feelings. So now we are slashing your tires and we are gone nutbag crazy and all of that shit. So you've seen the videos of people's cars getting fucked up, and it's always the car, because the car means so much to guys. So we always destroy the car. I have never destroyed anybody's personal property. I may have been aware of situations that have gone down, but I was not there. But anyway, revenge is never a good thing. The best way to deal with those hurt feelings is to figure out how to move beyond them. We have to get out of the feelings, because we feel first. All of the emotions hit our brains here first, and then they process, and then we got to go to a place of logic and thought and making sure that the things that we think about as a part of a revenge plan, first of all, We're not trying to go to jail. We're not about that life. It's not worth it. Whatever it is, it's not worth it. I talked about the legal system. As bad as it is or it can be, it's what we have. So don't go after revenge. It's not a good look. Let's talk about self-love. Self-love, which, as you can see by my sad face, was not about masturbation, sadly. But I managed to talk about it anyway, so you're very welcome. So self-love is about all-encompassing package that is you. I've talked before about we are a collection of our experiences. We are not defined by a single moment, a single incident, a single experience. It's all of it. It's the good, it's the bad, it's the ugly, it's the beautiful, it's the naked, it's the trauma, it's the everything. All of it contributes. But we have to decide how we're going to take care of ourselves in respect to how the summation of us, how the cultivation of us is expressed in its need to be taken care of emotionally, physically, spiritually, intellectually, sexually, all of it, all of the leaves that you need. Think about how it is that you are taking care of yourself. Ask yourself right now, ask yourself honestly, are you doing everything that you could be doing to take care of yourself? Are you taking care of yourself? And if you're not, why not? And what can you be doing a little bit better, right? Just a little bit, All right, let's wrap this up. I breathe because the 18th gave me some trouble. The word constancy. The authors use constancy. I did my best, but I continue to want to use consistency because I liked it better. But this is what made me go onto a word degree definition. We choose what we're comfortable with before I even start really talking about constancy, but I needed to pre-warn you that it's there. But constancy is basically about setting expectations and being there and present for the things that you have to do. So what does it mean to not practice constancy and speak to your integrity, especially as it relates to being and doing things that you say you're going to do, like being on time? If you are a person that leads habitually, consistently, constantly late, then people, they work around you, they exclude you. At some point, sometimes people get so frustrated that you're just excluded. So you have to think about how you present yourself in the world to be, and what that constancy looks like to everyone else, because it could be a good thing, great, reliable person, or this person is never there, leave them if they got 1 minute and otherwise we out. Sorry. So which side of the fence do you want to be on? Intensity on the 19th. Intensity, the authors started as soon as talking about sex addiction and love addiction, and not being a therapist. Preface this very clearly. I am not a therapist. I do not practice psychology or therapy as a licensed practitioner where I am or anywhere else. There is a whole degree of other things that are required for that. So I can tell you, as an educator, as a person that is doing education as part of my certification process, and recently was accepted as a master's degree student in human sexuality at Widener University. So there's that, master's of education. I have thoughts around it. I digress. Intensity is about that passion, but I don't completely digress, but intensity is really about, for me, about that passion. Like when you go after something, you have that intensity behind it. That is a wonderful thing, whether it be about, your career or sex and your relationship or being adventurous. When you have passion, you have intensity, it's a great thing. But the books also talked about being intense in a very chaotic or disruptive way where you are running away from trauma. So you're using that intensity to run away from trauma rather than to celebrate something in a passionate way. And lastly, on the 20th, we are talking about spiritual love. Now, I will admittedly say that I did not do well, at least in my opinion, did not do well in the delivery of spiritual love, because for me, it's a very personal thing. And trying to vocalize your feelings around it can be kind of difficult when you are not coming from a very traditional place. It's the same thing as it relates for me with people and their difficulty talking about sex. Whereas with specifically about sex, I'm very comfortable. And even when I don't know, I am very comfortable with saying I don't know, saying give me more information, what it concerns, doing my research, and learning and educating myself about it. When it comes to being spiritual, because I am not a religious person, I consider myself a more spiritual person. I have a connection and a relationship with the universe. I am learning to respect my connection with life in general and the things around me. I am learning to respect the energy that we put off as good vibrations and positive vibrations and negative things, and walking in fear and what that can attract, the laws of attraction. That is my personal journey. So when I speak from a place that is from me, that you may or may not relate to. And this is actually going to be a pretty good segue into another post that I'm going to do about a conference that I went to. But now you have to go look at another video if you want to know about the conference that I went to and what it has to do about spirituality. Okay. All of that to say is that spirituality for me is a very personal thing, and it's something that you talk to about a connectedness, especially between people. It is also something that extends beyond sex. So you have this connection, a connection that goes beyond the surface, goes beyond a physical, or even romantic love. It's that connection that you feel is elevated to a higher plane. And what does that mean to you for your connection with the person, the universe, a higher power, by whatever name you call it, all of that? What does it look like? And at the end of the day, it's really, what does all of this look like? What do all of these thoughts and concepts and words mean to you? I'm spending 20 minutes talking to you about what it is that the authors said, or at least here I'm highlighting the topics. You got to go to the podcast to listen to what it is they actually said. But, what the author said, what it is that I took away from it. And the whole point is to get you to take away from it. What are you taking away from it? So I'm going to go ahead and wrap up now. I'm really trying to find words that are consistent, have a constancy about them, to express to you who it is that I am, why it is that I am here, doing what it is that I do, and what I hope that you get out of this. Because my goal is to change the world and how it is that people think and communicate about sex and sexuality. And changing the world starts with one person. So if you guys like these videos and you find them helpful, please spread the word and do all of the social media things. These conversations about sexuality can be uncomfortable, but the more we talk about them, the more frequently and honestly we talk about sex and sexuality, the less uncomfortable we will be. If you go back to the first slide, you will find all of the social media and web and all of that information there. You know how to reach me. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. I will talk to you again very soon.